With quarter-final rugby on the line, Ireland put on an absolute rugby clinic to defeat Scotland by a margin of 22 points. What performance that was from Ireland, absolutely clinical from the off. Brilliant performance all round with Scotland really struggling to get into the game. A couple late consolation tries from Scotland makes the scoreboard look a little bit more respectable, but in terms of the tale of the entire game, it was complete Irish domination in pretty much most areas. It was a massively fast start from Ireland. They really came out the blocks. Obviously, the stakes of this game was qualification for the quarterfinals, and Scotland needed to beat Ireland and deny them a bonus point. So, knowing all of that, Ireland came out firing, and it only took them a couple minutes to cross the whitewash. Some brilliant work from Mack Hansen working off of his wing to create an overlap, and Sexton found him, and then one more pass onto James Lowe. 3 minutes in, 5-0 up, go Ireland, and a perfect start to the game for Andy Farrell's men. Scotland did fight for the sort of next 15 minutes with some really good, strong attacking phases, but the Irish defence was just absolutely relentless, and the Scots simply couldn't. Well, they could get into the 22, but as soon as they got there, the Irish really tightened the screw and got the turnovers they needed. Some brilliant work over the ball from the back row and the second row in Tadhg Beirne. And the Irish really snuffed out any Scottish danger early on. I mean, the Scots were going for it. Finn Russell turned down 3 points on multiple occasions to go to the corner. Personally, I don't think this was the right decision. I mean, I can say that now with hindsight, but even watching the game, I thought just try and win the game before you even think about denying Ireland bonus points. Just get that scoreboard moving and hopefully instill confidence into your side. I've always got this thing around, if you're going into half-time with 0 points on the board, even though 3 is barely more than 0, it just gives you the psychological edge of knowing that you are doing something right. So Scotland went for the jugular, but the Irish defence prevailed and sent Scotland in at half-time completely scoreless. Other tries included 2 from Keenan. Some really good work for the first try. The Sexton loop has got to get a trademark on it. Some brilliant stuff from Johnny Sexton. They really do work over the extra man very well, do Ireland. Sheehan crossed also in the game, so some brilliant work from Jameson Gibson-Park. He went onto the wing, actually, which was rather interesting. He's got some real good pace. I mean, I didn't expect him to be quite as fast. And he, just like Hansen did for the first try for Lowe, he came off of his wing, worked an overlap, and created some space for Sheehan to go in the corner. Ringrose scored later on in the game via a wonderful crossfield kick from Jack Crowley. I did feel in the second half slightly that there's a little bit less of a clinical edge to Ireland with Jack Crowley on the field compared to Sexton. Obviously, with Johnny Sexton being completely world class, you'd expect a slight drop, which I suppose it wasn't anything major, but it was a really good, neat piece of work from Crowley to send Ringrose over. And then earlier on in the game, Henderson went over from short range. Jameson Gibson-Park, who was at scrum half at the time, really worked the blindside well. Teams that can do that is so effective. Just the ability to sort of look to the open side and then just do some quick hands down the blindside just to make a half break, just to make a couple metres via hitting a soft shoulder. It's a real effective way of creating that go forward momentum. And then the power of Ian Henderson, who returns to the match day 15 from a decent absence, gets his try. I was very impressed with him. Some really good power in his game. And then Scotland's tries came from Ashman and Price. They had to wait quite late on in the second half for their tries, but when they did come, especially the Price try, it was very, very inventive, coming from deep in their own half. Now I'm just going to talk about a couple of things in which I thought both teams did well and what both teams could really do with improving. Obviously, Scotland will have a long time now to go away and work on their game. Probably will have a decent sized break first, and then going into the Six Nations next year. I thought the Irish structure was just phenomenal. Like I say this most games that they win, but just the ability to have so many options, give the ball carrier so many options, really creates such a difficult picture for the defence. They have to pick a player to tackle, and then the ball just goes to the opposite player and creates a line break. The first half defence was just unreal from Ireland. The atmosphere was just incredible, and I think there's a direct correlation between atmosphere of your home fans and defence. I mean, obviously it helps you on attack, but when defence is really down to sort of emotional energy and the ability to keep getting up off the line, the Ireland with their huge crowd, I mean, it's just unbelievable. The line-out was much more secure from Ireland. Dan Sheehan throwing some lovely darts, some great variety in the Irish line-out play. Gray and Gilchrist, as well as Jamie Ritchie when he was on the field, really tried to disrupt the Irish line-out, but to no avail. The Irish were really solid there. Henderson potentially added something in the line out that maybe James Ryan didn't have the same effect, or maybe it's just simply just getting better combinations and getting more used to it. James Ryan is a quality line out operator, so I guess they're all of the same world-class ilk. And Peter O'Mahony as well, getting up at the front, disrupting some Scottish line out ball, made it quite problematic for the Scots. As I said before the game, one of Scotland's favourite attacking platforms is that line out, the ability to generate quick ball off of it, and getting up at the front with Peter O'Mahony and Tadhg Beirne was really effective at disrupting it. Very clinical from Ireland, as I've mentioned. Brilliant breakdown work also. The only couple things, I mean, these are only small things that I'd say they sort of struggled with slightly. I mean, I say slightly, they still defeated Scotland by a margin of 22 points in what is pretty much a knockout game, so nothing's too bad for Ireland, but I thought they ran out of gas slightly in the last sort of 10 minutes or so. Obviously, when the game's wrapped up and you're looking to conserve energy and not get injured, I can completely understand it, but I think it was Kelleher who had an absolutely brilliant game, by the way. He was blowing quite a lot going to the line-out. The final line-out with a couple minutes to go, just puffing his cheeks out. And some brilliant stuff from the Irish, but they did get a little bit tired towards the end. And look, I'm not too sure which players went off, but there were a couple of Ireland players that did sort of look a little bit groggy going off. I think it was Hansen was definitely one of them. James Lowe had a bit of a bash in the game. I think it was like a forearm, caught him in the eye area. And those aren't players in which you want to see with injuries, especially going into the knockout stages. And then in terms of the Scots, I thought they played a little bit too open from the start. You need to still play test match rugby against Ireland. You can't just throw the ball around because you will pay the price. So I thought that cost them a little bit, especially not going for the 3 points early on. They didn't build a score. They just tried to go all out from the start. Lack of game line in attack and the ability to get off the line and create line speed in defence were a little bit lacklustre, but that's due to the Irish power, and it's so much harder to generate that line speed when you're constantly conceding metres, because you have to get on side, so you have to track back and then go forwards. It's very difficult to do so. In terms of what I thought the Scots did well, they never stopped playing. They really did throw the ball around late on in the game and scored a couple of decent tries, one of which was I'm not going to say try of the tournament, but it's one of Scotland's better tries this tournament. Some creative stuff there, and I would say along with scoring late on in the game but comes fitness. I mean, the Scots had to do a lot of work, especially to stop the scoreline getting embarrassing, and they still managed in the latter stages of the game to have energy, and with a 5 metre scrum with sort of 30-40 seconds left, they were still willing to play and sent Duhan van der Merwe up the wing. Now, a couple of things on key performers. I thought Doris, Henderson and Sheehan, as well as Jameson Gibson-Park, were the real standouts for Ireland. Let me know in the comments if you think I've missed someone sort of glaringly obvious. I thought Sheehan coming back in at hooker really sturdied things up. The power that Henderson brought in the second row was definitely noticeable. Doris is his usual brilliant self, brilliant stats, carries, tackles the lot, some turnovers in there as well, stands up in the big moments, all you want from a number 8 really. And then Jameson Gibson-Park as well, for me, just phenomenal. Obviously moving on to the wing shows that he's got the ability to use his jet shoes and use his pace, but around the fringes he was just brilliant, especially with working the blind sides. I thought that was sublime. And on the Scottish side, Schoeman I thought was really, really good. As far as loose head props go, he does so much work off of the ball, really excellent when it comes to sort of creating those little busts and line breaks. Loose head props, they're not usually the most mobile of players, but Schoeman is definitely mobile. And he made some good meters for the Scots. Jack Dempsey, I think he struggled in the game in terms of the physicality. I don't think he's quite the same size as many international number 8s, which limits his ability to sort of get over the gain line. But in terms of effort and trying, he just didn't stop. Finn Russell, obviously, he was brilliant, really. He made plenty of errors, like missing kicks to touch and some loose kicking, but he just kept pressing the attack button, the gamble button late on in the game, and Scotland were fortunate to have him on the field because he really had all the ideas and the keys. Not that all of the keys worked to unlock the Irish defence, but he was definitely using all the keys he had and all the tools. So fair enough to Finn Russell. And then Hugh Jones at 13, he looked dangerous, some real good pace there. And the Scots didn't stop trying, and that meant the outside backs really had some room to work in. But those are my key points and key performers. It was a very entertaining game to watch. Brilliant first half, quite tight for the first sort of 30 minutes, 25 maybe, and then the Irish ultimately pulled away with a late fight back from the Scots. But Scotland will regroup and hopefully not get drawn in an as awful pool for the next World Cup. I do feel bad for them, as many Irish people have also expressed in the comments. They do feel bad for the Scots. And look, they've got Six Nations to focus on. Obviously a break first of all. But in terms of Ireland, there's stuff to do before the Six Nations next year. They'll be rolling onto the quarterfinals against the All Blacks. What an occasion that'll be. I'm sure the Irish fans will be out in full voice. Another amazing atmosphere, and most likely will go down as one of the best games of the tournament. Two teams that love to attack, with some real good clinical edges to them both. Look, I'm looking forward to previewing that game. You probably give the edge in defence to Ireland. So look, there's so much to talk about when it comes to that game, but I'll leave that till the videos next week. But as far as this one's concerned, very good watch, entertaining all round. And yeah, do let me know what your thoughts are on the game in the comment section down below. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.